Good morning, everyone. I see familiar faces. I'm glad that you're here, energy stakeholders, and there are also many participants now from the industry. And this is the first time that the PIDS is participating in a trade forum, no? And now we're an exhibitor. And we're grateful to Informa for inviting us here because the way we usually communicate our research findings to the public is through in-house seminars and webinars, and we're not sure if we're attracting many participants from the private sector. So this is the first time for us to, really mingle with the energy stakeholders from the private sector, and of course sa public sector. Ang daming familiar faces, so thank you for coming here. So we did this study in 2022 and finished it in 2023, and we used 2021 data, but we noted that the downloads, the recent downloads manifest resurgence in interest here, and then Informa invited us that the PIDS team conceptualized this, that this is a timely topic, and true enough, because when we revisited the data, so we updated the figures, the graphs, you will see not 2021 data except for one graph. We revisited the data, and based on our updates, the findings are still the same, and you will see why. And for those who have not yet downloaded the study, it's available on our website. Just Google or just use that title in the search terms. Okay. And by the way, thank you to Janina Sofia Jacinto for competently doing the updates here. Okay, so my presentation is outlined this way. So I'll show you the energy security indicators for the 6 dimensions. Kasi we recommended that going forward, the government and energy stakeholders should look at energy security based on these 6 broad dimensions, no? Sufficiency, reliability, resilience, affordability, accessibility, and sustainability. Because we noticed that previously lagging sufficiency only, but that's not the only dimension of energy security. Okay, and then we'll after giving some policy insights and recommendations, no, the 2020 study is only up to this, no? But we would like to extend the relevance to renewable energy. What are the implications for the renewable energy sector? Okay, next slide. So the basic sufficiency indicators are, sufficient our primary energy supply, and also self-sufficiency ratio. Ito yung laging ina-announce ng DOE, the self-sufficiency ratio. But we would like to emphasize that sufficiency is coming not only from our own sources, but also from imported sources. So the total primary energy supplied, so that's coming from our own sources and imports, no? And if you will see, no, ito yung fossil fuels, no? Oil, coal, and natural gas. That's 70% for 2024, meaning only 30% yung from renewable energy. And then, if we are to look at how much of our primary energy supply are coming from our own production, no? Ito yun. The trend shows declining. So this is, let me check the actual number. So for 2024, the self-sufficiency ratio was 45% only. It was a high of 61% in 1990 actually. Okay, so dito yung government. But there are other strategies for strengthening energy security, no? By, for example, diversifying our import sources. Okay, and let's look at next slide, import sources, no? So let's look at the demand for coal. Demand for coal is increasing vis-a-vis our own production, and if we compare with the supply, no, the demand for coal is increasing and thus to be increasingly met by imports. So the orange part of that upper graph on the left panel. And let's look at the reserves to production ratio. So yung reserves are used to assess the longevity of our energy resource, no? Kumbaga showing the remaining years of remaining years worth given certain rates of annual production and consumption. So kung high yung ratio, that means large reserves are still available. But if the ratios are small, are low, then that signals that the particular resource, unless merong new reserves that are discovered, proven reserves, no, the decline in the ratios will have adverse effects on energy self-sufficiency. And as you can see from the graph nga, declining yung reserves to production ratio for oil and reserves to consumption ratio for oil and also for natural gas. Okay. So and also for natural gas, no, we know based on the news that the decline will continue to do so unless there will be additional commercially recoverable reserves. And we're doing the government is doing something about that by extending the Malampaya contract, for example. Next slide. Let's look at the sufficiency indicators, an additional sufficiency indicator that pertains to diversification of import sources. So first, Herfindahl-Hirschman Index of imports. No? When we say Herfindahl-Hirschman Index or HHI, no, it's a measure of market concentration, no, ranging from 0 to 1. An HHI of 1 would imply that the energy supply is imported from only one country, so market concentration. And if it's closer to 0, no, if imported from multiple countries, many countries. And you can see for coal and oil, crude oil and petroleum products, no, and the spent oil, no, trending was higher and higher concentration, no, indicating higher and higher coal import dependence and crude oil import dependence. Our coal import dependence, no, concentrated sa Indonesia, previously Australia, mas marami na in Indonesia. And then for crude oil, highly import dependent tayo sa Middle East. And in fact, no, growing import dependence when it comes to crude oil nga sa Middle East. That's 96.84% in 2024. And I think sa 2025 higher, although we weren't able to get the official data from the DOE. But based on recent events, no, in the Middle East, the geopolitical conflict in the Middle East, no, based on news announcements, no, almost 99% daw dependence to Middle East. Okay, next slide. Some good news. Next slide. Some good news. Good news, good news. Oh no, not yet. Reliability indicators, not yet the good news. Okay. Why is reliability not here? Okay, reliability indicator. Okay. Energy reliability is the continuous availability of energy. Yung assurance that instantaneously, any minute, any second, energy is available, energy is there. So that's reliability. So if, okay, kanina reliability yung but this is the good news, no? Part pa rin kasi of sufficiency indicator, no? Before we move on to reliability. So as you can see, no, declining trend ng total primary energy supply to GDP ratio, and TFEC means total final energy consumption to GDP ratios. Meaning with less and less energy for every unit of gross value added production, no? And we need less and less energy for our consumption. So, demand management must be working kasi on the aggregate, it's showing, no, na energy efficiency improvements, no, by Filipinos, by firms, households and firms, no. That's a conscious effort, no, and we are seeing the effect. Okay, let's go to reliability indicators. Okay, let's look at the first the panel on the left side, no. So you can see that reserve margin relative to dependable capacity seems enough. It looks like it's enough. But the trend is declining. So you can see the trend is declining, the reserve margin. And in fact, no, in 2024 alone, kasi the reserve margin is becoming tight ng so this is the official data. We don't have the 2025 official data yet. No, in 2024 alone, the market had to be suspended 2,401 times. So this is the total of 2,400 suspension events, no, for this for year 2024 due to red alert notices, yung red alerts by the regulator, no. And why is that? Aging power plants, lack of alternatives when large power plants fail, kagaya nung nangyari a few months ago. Was that April? April, I think yun, no? No? No, May. Exactly when the PIS was holding a conference or a seminar on energy sector issues. No, the day before, no, a large power plant failed, and then and it's a base load. It's a base load power plant. So yun, and also grid congestion. Well, insufficiency in transmission infrastructure capacity. So those contribute to the problem. Then let's look at the distribution utility level, reliability indicators. Meron tayong what's called, next slide, system average interruption frequency index, momentary average interruption frequency index, and system average interruption duration index. And thanks to ERC for monitoring this. Pero ma'am, sana meron kayong pwedeng dashboard or any source of data na updated palagi. But based on ERC monitoring, ito yung reliability indicators at the distribution utility level, and the interruptions are, no, annual SAIFI 33 interruptions per customer nung as of latest data 2023, and momentary interruption 23 interruptions per minute. Per customer, sorry. And then overall system average interruption index 4,002 minutes, or kumbaga yung lost per customer 4,002 minutes, no. And then there were also spikes in the past due to severe power supply shortage problems. Not shown here, but in the discussion paper in the study, no, based on 2021 data, the Philippines has the highest SAIDI among its peers, Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam. Okay, next slide. More indicators on resilience naman. No, and the indicators, next slide. The indicators also suggest weakness. So, halos na indicators suggest weakness or energy insecurity. So the short answer to how energy secure is the Philippines, we're insecure, no? So sa lang na may positive doon sa uh, aggregate demand management, sa energy efficiency efforts. So on resilience, no, our resilience to oil supply shocks is low, no, given to be expected yan, given the high concentration of our import sources, no, Middle East lang, no, as you seen in the previous slide. And then our low average daily inventory, as seen on the left panel of this slide, no, also shows our resilience weakness. Yung days of on-land oil stocks, no, which is a measure of yung available on-land na oil stocks in case of a temporary loss of supply, say due to war in the Middle East, no. Ito yon, no. So we were, or siguro dati pa lang yung request namin from the DOE on the data. But as of 2021, 9,999,000 barrels of finished petroleum products were available in land, and equivalent lang yun sa 20, ito sa right vertical line, 24 days of supply only, no? What the DOE wants to have is yung to legislate the required minimum oil inventory na 30 days based on the previous Congress. So I don't know what the DOE is now requesting na to legislate. 30 days pa rin ba? But we need more than that if we want to be energy secure, no? And the DOE is now exploring strategic petroleum reserves. I was inquiring from the DOE representative kanina. So we'll see if we hope PIDS would be able to do some research on that also. And then commercial energy access ratio, the one on the right panel, no. When we say commercial energy access ratio, it means yung overall capacity of the country to supply energy domestically using commercial energy. So how do we distinguish yung commercial versus non-commercial energy? Yung commercial energy, yung may for the natural gas. Yung non-commercial, yung tipong kahoy, no, firewood and similar sources, no. And then in 2024, commercial energy access ratio, or the value of commercial energy as a proportion of TPES, was 89%. And the decades of data also show that the Philippines made steady but slow improvements in, kasi suggestive ito of improvements in the domestic supply chain infrastructure. So hindi lang the infrastructure in the electric power sector, but also in other sectors, sa natural gas and sa oil. So aggregate aggregate representation. So increasing naman yung trend, but steady and very gradual, no. So that suggests that the improvements in our domestic supply chain infrastructure is very slow, no. So that's what the story is in the past 3 decades. Okay, next slide. Affordability indicator. So ito yung what's what's more prominent kasi it hurts households' pockets, no. So ilang beses nating narinig, no, we have sometimes the highest electricity price in the ASEAN, sometimes the second to the highest. So given the 2024 data, we're second to Singapore, second to the highest. And then in terms of geographic characteristic of the non-affordability of electricity, so within the country, electric cooperatives tend to charge higher prices than private distribution utilities, no. And then but that's 2020. Among both types of utilities, those in Visayas, those in Visayas tend to charge higher. the tight supply situation in the Visayas, no? So the Visayas utilities tend to charge higher than those in Luzon and Mindanao. Okay, accessibility. When we look at accessibility, next slide, we compare with our neighbors in the ASEAN. So other ASEAN countries have already have universal na 100% electrification rates or near universal electrification rate. Pero tayo not yet. No, so based on World Bank data set na based on population, but for many years we asked DOE to focus on household rather than barangay electrification or sitio electrification or household electrification. And we're glad to note that the DOE is doing some recalculations, and based on their data, 94.93%. But I think there's a need to communicate well yung difference, no, dito, and also to the World Bank when we send official statistics. Kasi this, I think this is more reliable because, you know, finally DOE is recalculating based on household electrification data. Naabutan ko during my junior years kasi when there are 20 connect. Oh, I saw familiar faces now from our junior years in the energy sector. If there are 20 connections, considered connected na yung locality. But that's now how we should do it. Let's look at the households and the number of households connected. Sustainability indicator. So, ito na, last indicator and still bad news. Next slide, sustainability. Okay. So, Filipinos are on what path? No? High emissions path. For greenhouse gas emissions to total primary energy supply ratio and greenhouse gas emissions for, ito pala yung energy supply. Ito yung sa fossil fuel supply. So the trend is increasing. And on a per capita base, no? On a per capita basis, each village, no, is emitting more, no? Increasing emissions per capita. Although if we will compare this with emissions per capita in advanced countries, no, maliit lang yan. But still, this is not a sustainable path, no? This is not a sustainable path. Things have to change when it comes to our the households and the firms' behavior in consumption. Okay, next slide. Policy insights. So we need to address insufficiency of supply. So that takes care of the sufficiency indicators, no, by boosting our development of indigenous sources, no, and ito hintay ng private sector, clarifying the upstream investment frameworks, and then diversifying import sources. Kasi nakita naman natin, no, yung high market concentration indices kanina, as well as continuously improving energy efficiency through demand management. Then, to address reliability, we need to improve the oversight of ancillary reserves, expedite grid infrastructure upgrades and expansion, capacity expansion. Then, and I think the ERC, just a few days ago, the ERC released a circular that will somehow help in the grid capacity expansion. Kasi yung nabasa ko, ma'am, yung point-to-point transmission, no, can be done by third parties, not necessarily NGCP. But yesterday, NGCP, I don't know if there's a NGCP representative here, NGCP said that they will scrutinize this and check whether there are violations in the concession agreement or in the franchise law that granted them the franchise, that granted them monopoly power. But that good development. And then accelerate generation capacity expansion. So we have first gen here, So your committed capacities hopefully will come online in a timely manner. And then strengthen energy sector resilience through investments in domestic energy supply chains, including for electric vehicles. No, we need to accelerate in that aspect. No, and then natural gas infrastructure alongside improved oil inventory security. We need to legislate the minimum oil inventory requirements. But about the strategic petroleum reserves, the current design that Maharlika and the DOE are thinking of now, I have no opinion yet. I want to study it in more detail. Then enhance energy affordability by promoting greater competition in the power market and accelerate the clean energy transition, especially the transport sector. Then advance universal access and sustainability through household-based electrification targeting. So continuously doing that, and sana cleaner yung data, kasi before meron kaming napansin na gaps in the data. And then faster microgrid deployment. We have the Microgrid Act. No? How do we accelerate the investments in that aspect, no, for our remote islands? And then expanded use of green finance and clean energy initiatives. No, our banking sector needs to catch up, no, on their knowledge on green finance and clean energy initiatives, as I found out in a recent discussion with the Phil Corporation. Then let me extend the insights to renewable energy. Again, this is no longer part of the study, but given this conference, next slide, we are making this extension of the analysis. So for sufficiency, no, when we improve the sufficiency through more renewable energy investments, especially given that we have a lot of indigenous sources, no, we'll have greater energy independence, and then lower exposure to international price shocks, and less use of dollars, therefore improved balance of payments, and then large utilization of our abundant indigenous resources. For reliability, so when we increase generation capacity using renewable energy, we'll have more reliable supply of electricity. But there are challenges again in the grid, in storage, and also challenges because of our archipelagic characteristic. No? But there are opportunities in geographic diversification, in storage systems, in technologies for flexible generation and modern grid operation. So I guess there are exhibitors there who are offering technologies for the energy stakeholders. The resilience. So when we integrate renewable energy in the generation mix, resilience is a challenge, no? But there are opportunities in microgrids, no, for the remote islands, community solar systems, and distributed generation. So that's a challenge to centralized generation, and also an opportunity for investors. Then reduce vulnerability to international supply disruptions and weather-related disruptions. Affordability, when we have more renewable energy investments, over the long term, will save on costs, and that will translate to affordability to consumers, households, and firms. And will have reduced exposure to volatile international prices. Accessibility, no? Again, given our archipelagic nature and given opportunities for renewable energy investments in remote islands, will have improved accessibility through these technologies. Solar home systems, hybrid microgrids, and off-grid solutions. Sustainability will be improved given climate mitigation and opportunities for green finance, cleaner transport, improve environmental quality. So I think where the government needs more insights are on risks and requisites, requirements, and hopefully our private sector stakeholders would be able to give insights to the government. Ano ba yung necessary investments? Ano ba yung policy challenges? And in terms of policy challenges, PIDS would like to help the government assess this and come up with solutions. Thank you for your attention.